And a pleasant good morning. The Carlos Brown Show here on the Black College Sports Network. Glad you can join us. I'm Charles Edmond, pinch hitting for Carlos Brown, who will be joining us shortly. Coming up on tonight's program, we have a very interesting show for you. A lot to talk about, a lot of games in the Southwestern Athletic Conference, a lot at stake on this final day of the regular season. The Western Division race has already been decided. The Prairie View Panthers won the West last week by virtue of their win and Gramblin's loss. But the Eastern Division is still very much up for grabs. I'm here in Jackson at 2:30 on ESPN Plus. It'll be Alcorn and Jackson State. The Braves trying to win their sixth game in a row, and maybe playing some spoilers here as Alabama State coming up in about 45 minutes will host UAPB and maybe to win that game, and that'll put pressure on Jackson State to win this game. If Alabama State wins and JSU loses, Alabama State goes to the championship. So who will the Panthers face? We'll talk all about it here on the Carlos Brown Show. And as you can see, you got Coach Van Petaway and Wheeler Brown. Gentlemen, good morning and good afternoon.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Good afternoon.
Man, I don't know if I can feel this seat, guys. I'm just letting everybody know. Carlos Brown's seat is a tough seat to fill, but I'm gonna try my best until Carlos comes on. Obviously, it starts with Southern University, and they're off this week. They're getting ready for the Bayou Classic next week. But the Jaguars came up short last week against Texas Southern University, 35-30. I believe that was their second best offensive output of the season behind Mississippi Valley, but they came up short. So let's get into it, guys. I mean, we all know what's going on down at Southern University. There's a lot of talk about who's going to be the next head football coach. That's a whole nother show, a whole nother conversation for a whole nother day, probably a whole nother set of days. A decision from what we've been told will be made after the Bayou Classic, probably in a week and a half. But the Jaguars are trying to finish the season on a winning note. 35-30 last week on Senior Day as Texas Southern beats Southern University. It was 21-14 Southern at the end of the first half. Southern got some offense going, guys, but again, defensively, that's been the issue. But Coach Petaway, I'll start with you. Southern University got a little bit of offense going, but again, we've talked about it all year. Their defense just can't get off the field.
Right, I think that's been it since the first game of the year. Coming into the season, we all of us thought that one of the strong suits for Southern would be their defense, but that has not materialized. Now, the thing that we don't know from the outside looking in, is it schematic or is it because of personnel? When I say personnel, I'm talking about injuries that have caused people to miss action, so therefore they don't have the continuity that they need. Because I do know when you run different schemes and stuff, continuity is very important. So we're not inside, so we don't know if that's the issue on the defensive side of the ball. But they came into the season with a guy who they felt was going to be probably defensive player of the year, and then everybody's been able to neutralize him because in other areas, Southern is not strong. So we just don't know, but it's been on the defensive end. They talked about the offense for most of the year, but the offense has come on as of late, but the defense is still not stopping people. And you got to be able to play defense to win in any sport.
Yeah, Wheeler, I tell you what, I mean, with everything surrounding the program right now, I mean, just getting these student athletes focused in the situation that they're in on Senior Day. I've done many an Alcorn Senior Day on the road in which, when you lose on Senior Day, there's tears. I've seen many tears flowing. You don't want to lose homecoming. You don't want to lose any game, but you don't want to lose homecoming. You don't want to lose Senior Day playing the last day either on the court or on the field. And I know it was kind of heartbreaking, for Southern University considering all they've been through. Some players have been through a couple of head coaches. You just still want to end the season on a winning note. As an administrator, I mean, you're on the field. You were on the field taking pictures with those seniors, and you know what that's about, the balloons and all of that, and the portrait of their jersey and all that stuff. I know it's tough as an administrator to watch you on Senior Day.
It is, because you get attached to those kids, over the years and over the time that they've been there with you, and A lot of times you watch them grow from little pups to, full grown dogs now. And you see them getting ready to take that next step to get out there into the real world and, in the job world and everything else that goes along with that. So it kind of makes you feel like a proud papa there, so to speak, from the outside looking in. And as Coach Pettaway has stated, defense is kind of let Southern down throughout the course of the year, whether it be schematic or whether it be, from a personnel point of view. I would probably venture to say it's probably a combination of the two, because if you had somebody better to stick out there in a couple of those positions, you would probably do so. And, but just seems like, it kind of is what it is, and it's kind of snowballed, Southern. Sometimes we think if we make changes, guys, that's going to be the cure all, end all, that sort of thing. I've always said, all change is not good change. I just think these last few weeks with what has transpired has really compounded everything, kind of made it a sinking ship, so to speak. And it's gonna be hard to get those kids up out of that funk, when it's all said and done. And whoever the next guy's in, he's got a hell of a job in front of him. Because these some kids that are wounded emotionally and otherwise, and they're gonna have to make sure that you don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. You don't get into a situation where you just feel like you just gotta get rid of everybody. Everybody gotta go, that sort of thing, and you wind up exiting some good kids along with kids who probably maybe need a change of atmosphere, that sort of thing. So it's gonna be interesting to see exactly what's what, guys. The street committee's running rampant, with the innuendos and all that sort of thing and stuff. So it's going to be interesting to see exactly what transpires when the day is done.
Right. And then Willa, don't you feel like Southern doesn't play until they play into the classic, the Bayou Classic. The coaching staff and the players are on audition because whoever's going to get that job, they're going to be looking at how these kids perform, not only down the stretch, but particularly in this last game. Yeah. And then in terms of the coaches too, they'll be looking at that coaching staff also. So this is a big audition at Southern, both for the players and the coaching staff.
When they decided to let Coach Graves go, it was audition time for everybody, Coach. Yeah. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. New guy coming in probably may want to keep one or two holdovers to kind of help with the continuity, that sort of thing. You just don't want to walk into a new situation blind, so to speak, right, and not have anybody who hasn't been there previously, that sort of thing. So, I'm sure whomever those prospects are, they're looking to see who could be a good fit in terms of continuing on that with that next staff, at least for the next year, if nothing else, until I get in and get my feet wet, that sort of thing, and and able to make the transition, fully. So, and like you said, with the kids, they're auditioning also. I got to find out whether or not they're going to be the kind of kids that can play for me, that can exemplify, what I want in terms of a Southern University football player. So it's going to be, like I said, it's going to be interesting all the way around. Right. What I would wish, guys, is that the administration will be a little bit more forthcoming in terms of the process. I think that's important to the constituents. I think especially after the last two hires didn't go as everybody wanted them to, and you feel like you're under pressure to knock this one out of the park. I think it's important that your constituents know pretty much every step of the way, where you are, how you're progressing, things of that nature, so that they can get fully on board with what it is that you're trying to do. Not just at the end of the day, here it is, need you guys to get behind us, let's go, that sort of thing. So just my thought.
Right.
Let's look at the game last week, Southern and Texas Southern. We'll kind of double back in that situation because that's been talked about all week. I have my thoughts on it from the outside looking in. Of course, Carlos is kind of on the inside. He has a lot more information. He's a lot more than we are on it, so he knows a lot more of what's going on, what you're reading and hearing, and what the reporting is leaning towards is Marshall Faulk. But there's nothing to be determined as of yet. My guess is in the next 10 days, they'll probably hire a coach right after over. So we'll kind of get back into that. But obviously, if you look at the stats, guys, Ashton Strother and Cameron McCoy played in the game last week, and Southern threw for 213 yards. That's also some decent numbers. But when you look at their running attack, and we've been talking about it all year, they ran for 224. With Barry Remo leading the way with 120 yards. Did not see, if you look at one of their top backs not even playing and not even on the stat sheet. So Southern University, at least the numbers look decent enough. And they scored the second most points that they had the whole season. But did you, and of course we follow what goes on with every team in the league. Did any of you guys think that offensively would be a problem, or even more so defensively going into this season? At least I didn't. I thought Southern would be solid defensively, solid enough, but clearly that's not the case. Did either one of you guys are surprised at just how tough it is for the Jaguars defensively to get off the field?
Right. I was real shocked because coming into the season, I thought Coach Graves did a great job of bringing everybody back going into the next season, and they relied on their defense a lot last year. Their defense was it was one of the top defenses in the SWAC. So I thought, me personally, that defense was where they would be laying their hat, and it just didn't work out. For starting in the first game, there were things that North Carolina Central did against them that it raised some eyebrows. And so all year, it's been the same thing. Defense not doing enough for them to have the type of season that they were looking for.
I agree with you, Coach Pettaway, pretty much 100%. But I thought the Central game kind of showed some chinks in the armor of Southern's defense. When you see the DBs playing 10 and 12 yards off of the receiver, that sort of thing, and you see the lack of pressure up front, you would hope that schematically that would change over the course of the year, but it just seems like that continued to be the norm, as opposed to, one of one, that sort of thing. And so I think, those kind of things kind of led to, where we are right now. And, once the opposing teams start getting film and researching you, that sort of thing, and, seeing what you got and what you're working with, they're going to make those adjustments and take advantage of accordingly. So, I thought Central showed a lot of the chinks in Southern's armor defensively, and a lot of the other teams kind of picked up on it and ran with it.
Right.
Yeah, offensively, I thought, obviously they lost a couple of quarterbacks in the portal, Bowden and T-Set. So you kind of figured that Jalen Woods would be the guy to start the season at the quarterback position, and he was that. And we all know what happened. He missed the bus and all that. Do you think that kind of threw things sideways offensively for Southern University from the very first game, that very sequence? Do you think that had an impact in that game, even though going forward against Mississippi Valley, he was concussed and hasn't seen the field since? Do you think that, with Trey Holly and all the weapons that they have, do you think that whole offensive situation kind of threw the offensive flux early on?
Right. I think it did, Charles. I think it had a great impact because if I remember correctly, we went to the week before the game, before a starter was announced at quarterback, that kind of thing. So going into the season, in practice, they still hadn't made up their mind as to who was going to be the either they made it up, they just didn't announce it. The coaching staff may have known, they just didn't make the announcement until the week before the first game. And that, a lot of times you do that to keep you keep your opponent guessing. You don't want them sitting out there game planning. They already know who your quarterback is, so they go back and start looking at packages that quarterback had last year. So I can understand that, but I think the fact that their quarterback, the injuries at the quarterback position was a downfall for their offense. Now, going back to the last game, if Holly didn't play, why? Why didn't he play? Was he injured? See, that's why we need Carlos, on the inside to let us know what happened, because this kid has been carrying the mail all year. Why didn't he play in this game?
Yeah, he only had I think 8 carries against Alcorn the week before, so I don't know if he's banged up. I don't know what the situation is there, but it's just interesting how in a season it just takes a little bit in football to throw your season into flux, and even in the NFL, you're seeing backup quarterbacks struggling. Yep. When starters, guys making $50 million a year, they go down. So it just shows you, Wheeler, how important the quarterback position is. Even though you have a backup for a reason, it's very difficult to replicate and simulate with a backup. Although in the Southwestern Athletic Conference, we're kind of seeing that trend go the other way. Everybody goes down, right? And Alabama State keeps on keeping on. I mean, they're a heavy favorite to win today, and Jackson is going to have to win today. You see that situation. Southern University is a whole other animal, but we've seen at Grambling, for example, Grambling's quarterback went down. T-Set went down in Vegas, and up until last week, they were humming along. So you talk about the starting quarterback, but the backups has been a struggle in some situations. This year, I think it may be the year of the backup, in which backup quarterbacks, Wheeler, in our conference are keeping their teams in it and playing some good football.
Well, there's 3 phases to the game, guys. Offense, defense, special teams. And, when you're weak in one area, you depend on the other 2 areas to kind of pick up the slack a little bit. And I think you've probably seen that with some of the other SWAC schools where the quarterbacks have gone down. The teams have played, defense pretty well. And special teams has kind of stepped up, that sort of thing. I know that's the case with Jackson State, and probably has always been the case with Alabama State. Defense has been carrying them for like the last 2-3 years. And, so offense has just started to catch up, that sort of thing. So, I mean, you depend on those other phases of the game, even more so, when somebody of importance goes down. So I mean, it's a team game for a reason, and you just can't depend on one phase to get it done if you're going to be a championship caliber team.
Now, Wheeler, what about this? At Alabama A&M, 2 of the coaches that I knew, Spady and Anthony Jones, they believe in getting their backup quarterback into every game. Give him a series of 2 for every game, because I even asked about that, and they told me, says, I'd rather have my guy get some reps with the number 1 offense in a game in case my starting quarterback goes down, and he'll be ready. It won't be the first time that he's put in that situation. So they believe in having a package for the backup quarterback for every game.
And that's not a bad idea, Coach. It's not a bad idea. I guess you could probably say 6 one way, half a dozen the other. I mean, if you have the time to be able to do that, then fine. If you're able to slice out a little bit of game time, to be able to do that and not disrupt whatever the flow of the game is, that sort of thing. You're able to do that, that's pretty good. If you're able to get the kids some garbage time in, over the course of the game, that sort of thing, then all that's good. And you may not be able to do that every game, Coach. If you can find a way to do it every other game or something like that, if you're able to get them a few reps in, it's going to help in terms of making that transition should he have to step out there. But you're the second string guy. You just one play away. And, so mindset wise, you got to kind of, keep yourself aware, that sort of thing, and be ready on a moment's notice.
Right.
I do know here, we know Jalen Tolbert is our quarterback, but Andre Washington, at least up until the last couple of weeks, Cedric Thomas said there will be a package for our backup quarterback, Andre Washington. Now, we haven't seen that the last couple of weeks. That was kind of the goal. But I think as we've gotten hot, I think you want to keep the continuity going. I mean, Tolbert's one of the reasons why we're on this right now, but based on what he's doing with his legs. And we'll talk all about that as we look at the other games around the league. But, the goal, I'm sure, for every coach, football coach, is to get your backup quarterback some reps. But when your team's playing well, that's hard to do because you're going with your guy well.
Yeah, the goal is to win that particular game.
Yeah.
The coaches say we got to go 1-0, on that particular week. And so, a lot of times those other things take a back seat to, the main goal, which is winning the game.
Well, when you look at Southern University and completing the homestand, I mean, if you just look at the schedule at the beginning of the season, you had Jackson State at home, you had Alabama State at home. You had some games at home that really could have put yourself in a very good position to be in a better position in the Western Division. And we've seen teams throughout the league this year, like Florida A&M, for example, lose some big home games that could have swung the pendulum. As a matter of fact, if you go in the eastern side, after Jackson lost to Grambling in Vegas, the next week they go to Tallahassee. And with that loss, it opened the door for FAMU, but Jackson State got it done. So with all the dynamics this year, there are some teams that have lost some big home games. We lost a big home game to Prairie View, 13-12. But there, teams at home have kind of struggled this year, and that's kind of helped the team like Prairie View win the division. And it's kind of baffling to me trying to win games at home. You're excited to have them, but still got to get it done at home because next year it flips and it's tough to win on the road too.
Well, at the end of the day, you still got to play the game. So, I mean, it's great to be home and be able to sleep in your own bed the night before and everything else that kind of goes with that. But, and the SWAC, we know that you got to lace them up every time out.
Yeah, but see, next year, when because of the SWAC schedule, all these heavyweights came into Mumford this year. Man, that schedule is going to look a whole lot different next year now.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be on the road for those games. If they play, they got to go to PV. If they play, they got to go to FAMU. And the reason why I'm saying this, I don't know if anybody rotates off of the schedule.
Right.
But if nobody rotates off of the schedule, they're going to have Pine Bluff coming in. They're going to have Alcorn coming in. And that's basically going to be about it. In terms of, they'll have, Daytona. I'm sorry, Bethune will be coming in if they don't rotate off the schedule. So that's going to be a very interesting schedule next year for Southern because
which might be better, Coach, with a new coach coming in. Might be better.
Okay, well, they said no rotations next year, so then that means that everybody that came in there this year, those will be road games for the new coach next year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's in itself is tough now. Yeah. I mean, that the whole rotation thing goes into the conversation of, for example, when Southern and Jackson played and the game didn't count, the conference, Dr. McClellan has said he's not going to stop teams from playing each other, even though the game doesn't count on paper, because that's a money opportunity. At first, many, many years ago, there were fans that were against that. Like, if the game doesn't count, don't play it. But the commissioners of the mindset of you want to make money any way you can, even though the game doesn't count on paper, it's still a rivalry, Southern and Jackson State. We were returning a game to Huntsville. That's the reason why Alcorn played at Alabama A&M. Don't think they rotate on the schedule next year. We got Florida A&M. But it's good to have those games because that's a good money making opportunity for the company. It does make it interesting in terms of just the games that you look forward to next year.
It's important. It's important to play your rivals. Yeah, home and away, year in, year out, that sort of thing. Your fans are looking forward to it. Coaches are looking forward to it. Players are looking forward to it. I mean, your rival is your rival, and you want to play them on a yearly basis if at all possible.
Right. And Charles, do you think by Southern, the players at Southern playing in the Bayou Classic, do you think that will give them that'll motivate them to be ready for that game because of all the hoopla around the Bayou Classic? Even though their season has been the way it is, I guarantee you those kids want to go into that Bayou Classic and win that game. Because for the seniors, it'll be their last Bayou Classic. And for the returning players, they're auditioning for the next coach. They want to play in next year's Bayou Classic.
Well, I agree. I think we got Carlos back. I think Carlos just got out of a meeting with those players to talk about.
Yeah. Carlos met with the team and wanted to make sure that their mindset is right for that Bayou Classic.
Well, I'll answer the question because I'm a Grambling Knight, so I know how these things go. As far as Southern goes, the answer to that question is that game's on national television. Most years there's something at stake in that Bayou Classic, whether it's winning the division or whether that's the rivalry itself. The rivalry takes precedence, but there's been games in which the winner of that game, wins the Western Division. Here, Alcorn Jackson State, most years, we won 6 straight division titles. I think most of those years we had already had the East locked up, but it's still a big rivalry game. And some of our older fans said, "The heck with the SWAC championship game. I want to beat Jackson State." So I think from a rivalry perspective, I think the game is still what it is. It's still the Bayou Classic. Hotels are going to be packed. The Dome, I don't know what kind of attendance that it'll be. Hopefully, it'll be good attendance there. But I do think that regardless, I think both teams will be motivated. I think Southern wants to end the season on a winning note. And, you talk about the microscope. Mickey Joseph still has a little work to do. This is his final game. And what will Mickey Joseph do going forward? Will he re-up? Has Dr. Scott offered him something to extend his time as head coach? So I think that's going to be an interesting Bayou Classic for sure.
Carlos, since you're here, we had a question earlier. We went over the Southern game at Southern and their last football game. Is Trey Harley hurt?
He was a little banged up, but I'm sure he'll be ready for the Bayou Classic. And first of all, can you hear me well?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. See, I had to make adjustments. I had to have some help to get on.
Okay.
But it's still a lot to play for. The season that Southern has had, it's a fact. They didn't win their last home game. The first time in many moons that they did not win a home game. And if you look at the conference record, the Valley game didn't count as a conference record. It just count overall. So if they don't win next Saturday, then they will go winless in the conference.
Wow.
That's just facts. Now, opinions of why it happened, this happened, we've discussed all that. But they still have a lot to play for. It's the Bayou Classic. I've seen Southern come in years ago with 2 wins and 8 losses. Grambling heavily favored. Southern wins. One particular game, they scored 50 points after a horrible season. So it's still a lot to play for. You want to go out on a
winning note. Yeah.
Now let me say this, because I wasn't on at the beginning, but I want to say this. I received an email that's saying that maybe this platform should be used to go ahead, and I know y'all kind of maybe talked about out there Marshall Faulk, but I know for a fact they have went through a thorough search, and it's still, they're down to 5 people for the job, 5 coaches. So I think it's a bit premature to go out and say it's a done deal. If it happens, it happens. Now, from a personal standpoint, I'm an alum, and I'll say what I've always said. No matter who is the coach, I respect the decision. I'm going to support the decision. I did it with Coach Dooley. I did it with Coach Graves. This platform and myself, I'm not going to use it to endorse any candidate. I'm just not going to do it. That's not me. And I've been consistent over 20 plus years doing that. Now, I'll say again, if Falk is chosen, I will accept the hire because I'm a Southern alum.
Right.
And they have went through a thorough process, and it is 5 people up. Now, I have a personal favorite, but what happens if it don't work that way? I still got to support it. Now, what else I have to say? We will know very shortly. I'm not going to give out names. And personally, it's out on social media a lot. Be careful with social media. Sometimes they're right, sometimes they're wrong. And in this case, let the process finish out.
Yeah, run its course.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, when they make their decision, they'll have a press conference. They'll discuss why they made this choice, why it went this direction, what was the process, what is the plan going forward. Now, I will say this. You still can hear me?
Yeah, you good.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of candidates have introduced a very nice plan because, honestly, it's not the elephant in the room, but some internal things need to happen. There was no, I'm not gonna give you the 5. Sorry. I'm not gonna do that. I can't do that. Sorry. This platform has been one where we give you facts, but then we give you opinion. So the fact is there will be a coach selected. My opinion, there are 5 candidates, and the one who presents the best plan in the interview will get it. We'll get the choice. And my question is to everybody out there, Jaguar Nation, if it's not your choice, will you still accept the process and accept who they've chosen? See, I will. But some of you are coming at me and saying, well, you should support this candidate. I'm supporting all of them.
Right.
All of them. And may the best man win. Now, can we move on to something else? What else were y'all talking about?
No, we just talked about the game and that's it. We really didn't talk about the coaching search. We didn't bring that up. Yeah.
Because the reason why I didn't bring it up, Carlos, because the reason why we didn't go deep into it, because you've said this many weeks and many candidates ago that you're straight down the middle on it. Let the process play out. Whoever's the head coach, you'll support that. Right. And so there's a lot of information, probably misinformation on social media. I've texted you about it. The whole Falk situation was a plane flown to Colorado to pick them up and bring them back. I mean, that's out there. There's reporting out there on it. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. But I'm just saying that's the only name I've heard. I guess we'll know in the next week and a half or so who the next head coach will be, and just kind of let it play out. But social media is taking off with one name, but there are 4 others.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then, Carlos, in your opinion, do you think the timeline is going to remain the same?
From what I'm hearing, it'll be the first week in December. So, that's kind of the thing with the Bayou Classic over with. And then you have a period of time. I'm going to say, in my personal opinion, I think it's going to be around the 2nd or 3rd or 1st of December, the first week. I think. Yeah. And then you have then the transfer portal. Now that opens only once a year, and that's going to be in January. So you got a month to kind of get things, rolling. Whoever the new coach is going to be. Now, I will say this. It's exciting. Some of the names on there that made the cut. It still was a lot of interest in negotiation. Somebody may be negotiating to come to a place, but they might be using that. This is my opinion, to get a good deal where they're at.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. It's Carlos. Trust me, we as coaches, we use that.
Yeah.
No doubt.
You let another
As you
school come in.
should.
Right.
As
Let
you
another
should.
school come in and show me interest.
Yeah.
Then I bring
As
that
you
back to
should.
my people. Say, look, now these people are giving me this opportunity. Let's negotiate. Yeah, I've done that before.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Carlos, not only is it happening on your side of town, it's happening on the other side of town too. With that other school in Baton Rouge, there's leverage with one particular candidate flying to Baton Rouge and Gainesville. Same kind of leverage is happening all over the place. You're playing two
Yeah, and with their negotiating, they are really in a higher income bracket. And so it's interesting that in the city of Baton Rouge, you're going to be hiring two coaches.
Yeah.
It's happened before. It's happened before, back in memory. But now I'm looking. I want to say good morning to everybody in the chat room. I'm able to see the chat room. Boy, some of y'all are really up and at 'em. All right. But let me say this too. Congratulations to Prairie View.
Yes.
The fact is they won the Western Division.
Yes.
Yep.
My opinion was I didn't think they were going to do it, but they did. So congratulations to them. And that's the way you have to look at that situation. The East, I think I heard y'all talking a little bit about the East. I think Jackson State wraps it up today. I'm going to already predict that they'll win it. But if they were to lose, Charles, what happens then?
If Alabama State beats UAPB, which they're probably heavily favored to do so, then Alabama State wins the East.
And then
it will not be a tie.
Say it again.
Alabama State has one loss. Jackson State has one loss. Jackson State owns the tiebreaker of Alabama State head up because of what happened here.
Yep.
So Jackson loses today, and Alabama State beats UAPB. Alabama State will represent the East. Any tie goes to Jackson State. If Jackson loses and Alabama State loses, Jackson still goes because of the tiebreaker.
Yeah.
So Jackson State win out, they in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Win and you in.
And then now, Carlos, this is the part that I don't like. Alabama State is one of the best teams in FCS, and they're not eligible for the playoffs. I hate that. I'm talking about as a fan. As a fan, I hate that. And it's only because of the Turkey Day Classic.
Well, Coach Pettaway, I wouldn't go down that route because I know it's Southern to Grambling.
Well, yeah.
And I understand you want to be the best. And that leads me to this. And I'm going to come back to that, Coach Pettaway. With Southern University, my ideal of the football program going forward, they're going to have to rebuild. They're going to have to retool. But my goal for them would be, and it's just my goal, to be better than SWAC. Meaning, you got to win your championship. You got to win the conference championship. You go to the Celebration Bowl. But during the season, this program, I would like to see them set themselves apart. And it's going to take everybody. I refer to the back of the campus. You know what I mean by that. For those who just tuned in for the first time, that's the administration above the athletics. They got to be on board. Of course, they've gotten a committee to choose the next football coach. They got to be on board. Fans got to be on board. Alums got to be on board. Every piece got to be on board. If you're going to move this program forward, if they're going to do it. Now, it is some things, I think I can say this, that they put in writing to suggest like an indoor practice facility, a cover, like Jackson State has. Nickel State has one, UAB. That was submitted 2 years ago, 3 years ago. You should be able to start something. You should have been able to show them something. And every coach that came in, they knew it, but they accepted the job anyway because they wanted to be the head football coach at Southern University. And then we're talking about football, but it's a total athletic program, not just football. If you want to be the best and set yourself apart, this is my commentary, then everybody's got to be on board. You've got to have administration that says, look, okay, we're on board with the plan. I can't do it without the other pieces. And alums, supporters, it's good to get on social media and talk about it. But your part, what's going to be your part in all of this? You have to support it. So I just personally think they can set themselves apart. Are they better than their other programs? No, not right now. But the sleeping giant must be awakened again. You've had success. Now you haven't had as much success in football. Basketball, and also I'm going to have some information about some, Charles, you'll love this, Coach Pettaway, contract extension.
Oh, wow.
I kind of missed that in July at the board meeting. But we'll after commercial break, we're going to come and talk about that. So where's your commitment? And you've committed behind the scenes to do more and do better. That's the part we'll hold you to.
But Carlos, it's not just for Southern. I'm going to be honest. For our HBCUs to survive, it's for all of our schools. Even here at Alabama A&M, our alums, our supporters, they got to step up financially. They got to step up by coming to the game. They got to attend the games. We all of our institutions need this support. Not just Jag Nation. The Bulldog Nation got to step up. They need them. These athletic programs need them. All of our programs. If we're going to survive, our alumni have to play a better part in it. A bigger part in it, I'm sorry.
I don't think there's any doubt about that, guys, at all. But there has to be a level of transparency coming from the institutions themselves as it pertains to their constituents. You know, you got to have that. You know, if you want to demand that, you know, your fan base does X, Y, Z, that sort of thing, then, you know, you have to keep them abreast of what's going on at the institution in all ways, not just, you know, from an athletic point of view. You know, you got to keep them active and make them a part, or make them feel like they're a part of the process. And when you do that, you know, they're more ready to kick in and help support when they feel like they are a part, quote unquote, you know, of the process. Not that they're going to make any decisions or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is that we need to keep them abreast of what's going on, what it is that we're trying to do. You know, keep them informed at all times. And, you know, then we can demand that they be taking active part in what's going on.
Charles, mute.
Yeah.
You on mute?
Yeah, they were testing the mics real quick. Let me, this is kind of the way I feel about that. I think in terms of giving and supporting, I think we're seeing a little bit of a transition. I think that the older alums in our schools that are all in, no matter what, no matter who the head coach is, they love their school, whether it's Southern or Alcorn. They're gonna continue to contribute the way they've been contributing, maybe even a little bit more. But as those older alums kind of transition and kind of not be as much in the limelight, the younger middle age, to me, they want to see they want to see wins first before the money comes. So when you're winning, they're going to come on board when you're winning. When you're not winning, they're subject to pull back a little bit. And I think that's kind of the attitude that we're transitioning into now. Like you said, Carlos, you're in regardless of who the coach is, regardless of wins or losses. But in today's climate, it's just not that way. People are going to donate more when you win more. But when you lose, they're going to run and hide from you. And I think that's going to be, as we transition, middle-aged and younger alums that have just graduated within the last few years, that conversation needs to be had.
You remember this saying, if you're religious people, get right, church, and let's go home?
Yep.
I've come to the conclusion that you're not going to get everybody, and then we're going to move on. You're not going to get everybody to buy in. You're going to have some that they talk a good game, but some just not going to give. You got a percentage just complainers. They're going to complain. Then you got a percentage that complain but will give. That's the one. And we had a show in the summer. It went all across the internet about giving back. You remember? And the demographics of young people versus older. So we've had all that. Now is the time to put up or shut up on all points from A to Z in between. That is going to be, if you want to set yourself, from the outside looking in, I look at Jackson State. Are they perfect? No, but they're in a position where they could make that, set themselves apart if they hadn't already now. You got the Blue Bloods. And the Blue Bloods in HBCU. But my opinion is now, we are Blue Bloods, but where we go next? Where do we go next? Where, from a Southern standpoint, to set yourself apart? Each individual teams in the conference. And we're in an era now that the 1990s, the 20s, 2010s, it was good in those times. But now from an administrative standpoint, an athletic standpoint, you got to evolve and you got to make the move. If you can't do it, I understand. But those who can, should. Those who can. Those who can't, keep working. Keep fighting. We're going to take a time out. We're also going to talk about our SWAC football report, some big games going on. I'm scheduled to have Brian Fulford live from Orlando, the Florida Classic. Of course, Charles, you're in Jackson. Can we call the Capital City Classic or the Soul Bowl Classic? Either or.
It's been a bunch of names, Carlos. The Southwest Airlines Capital City Classic, the Soul Bowl. It's been a bunch of names. There's still a lot of folks that still call it the Soul Bowl.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So we're gonna talk about that. We're still gonna get our predictions in. It seems like I'm on the air with an adjustment. See, I couldn't wait to halftime to make an adjustment. I had to make it before halftime. So I'm still on. I'm able to see everything. I'll once again, I appreciate everybody in the chat room. Love you to death. Also, South Carolina State and Delaware State.
Mm-hmm. Hey, showdown.
I'm going to be very interested in looking at this game. I wonder why.
All right. All right.
You know why?
Let's break it and find out.
Wonder why.
You know why?
Tell us when you come back.
You know why?
We all know why. The world knows why.
I didn't say anything now. And also, I want to get to this contract. I'm a believer. No 2-year contract. I think that's out. We can take that off my name. And when I share the basketball information, it will kind of point out what I've been saying. You can get 5 or 6. You're just not going to get it up front. But if you prove yourself, you can get it.
You deserve it. Yep.
Well, I feel like I'm on Let's Make a Deal. Curtain number 1 or curtain number 2? We'll take a time out. When we come back, we'll get into those things. You're watching the Carlos Brown Show right here on the Black College Sports Network. Well,
Yes, you won't.
if we don't get a commercial in, we'll get it at some point. Let's roll then.
Nope. Nope.
Come on, him.
Ooh, I like him.
Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up messes quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less.
He's an 8.
He's a 9.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
This is Brian Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Wrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Wrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
Football fans, HBCU football is back in the ATL with the Cricket MEAC SWAC Challenge Kickoff. Representing the MEAC, North Carolina Central, and representing the SWAC, Southern Eagles, Jaguars, the Marching Sound Machine, the Human Jukebox. The kickoff trophy is up for grabs, and bragging rights are on the line. The rivalry is real. Bring the family and join us pre-game for the fun-filled Coca-Cola fan experience, including band jamborees, food, activations, and fellowship. For tickets and information, visit MEACSWACChallenge.com.
Welcome back to this week's edition of the Carlos Brown Show right here on the Black College Sports Network. You're to Carlos Brown, the panel. Had to make an adjustment, so the information that I want to talk about, I'm going to have to go on memory, but let's get into it. Once again, I appreciate everyone in the chat room, or all the text messages I got saying, where are you? What happened? Where are you at? Did somebody get into your computer technology department? No. But you know what? What I am going to do is the budget director has blessed me with upgrading with a new computer, more podcast friendly. I may have to sell blood and plasma afterwards, but I'm going to get it, and so it's going to be some upgrades. EA, love you to death. Can't imagine Falk could call us at Spade Park. Did I say he's going to get the job? He's a finalist, but guess what? My pick didn't make it. interested, but I'll put it this way: when Mama is not happy, then the whole family's not happy. Meaning, she was satisfied with where they're at in their life and where they're at, and she said, "No, I'm not going." So, my first pick, my first choice, made it through a couple of rounds, had an interest, but took itself out of the running. So, with that being said, now go ahead.
Here's a question for you, though. We've talked about the celebrity coach thing. At least I brought it up for 3 years. Okay. Are you surprised, even if you get to the final 5? Are you surprised that someone like a Marshall Faulk is even a finalist for this job?
Yeah, actually, too. But yeah, because what I've said, and I try to be consistent. I've said that Southern didn't have to go that route. Remember, I've said it on the show.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, yeah, I'm surprised, but I will say this again: I will support whoever is the hire. Charles, if you were to introduce as the head coach, I would support you being the head coach. Now, I remember, and let's see if you remember this, Charles. When Roman Banks, I was doing local radio, right? He wasn't my first choice. He was in the studio. I didn't whisper behind his back. I didn't send him an email or a text. Just like I'm looking at you, he was right in my face. I said, and I quote, "You were not my first choice, but you are the choice. Now, whatever I can do to support you, I will." And I told him right in his face. He looked a little surprised, but the bigger picture is our universities have to be vibrant, and they have to be here 100, 200,000 years from now. Of course, we won't be here, but we got to survive. We got to do whatever it takes, legally that is, to make sure we're here. We're going to disagree. We're going to agree to disagree sometimes. But at the end of the day, you have to do the right thing. So that's why when I came on late, I said, that is what I am going to do. Support whoever it is, and we go from there. And on this show, I've done that with the previous football coaches, the basketball coaches, the baseball coaches. And so that's where I stand on that. Now, I'm going to have to go on memory here, but I'll back it up next week. Coach Funches got a nice extension, and it's based on the success last year, Coach Pettaway. Now that contract's extended up to 2030 or 31, I believe. Same thing with Coach Johnson. Got a nice extension. And I'm sure they throw in a little incentives, for his pay-wise. So that's where they're at. Basketball program on good standing.
Right. And they deserve it. They both deserve it. Their body of work is not based on 1 year. It's based on multiple years of success. Coach Johnson hit the ground running with that men's team. He's put together 2 back-to-back great seasons. So he deserves it. Coach Funches has taken over the women's program. He's put back-to-back. I think in his case, 3 years together of a good run. So they deserve it. Carlos, that's what the administration is supposed to do. Reward coaches while they're there. Don't wait until somebody else offered them a contract and then say, "Oh, no, we'll try to match it or we'll do this for you." Do it now. And that's the right choice. They've done the right thing. And I like that. And I guess when you all do hire a football coach, because just like you get texts, I get texts. I got a text to ask me who would I pick between Marshall Faulk, Trey Oliver, and Deshaun Jackson. Well, I'm not a part of the selection committee, so I could give a fat rat. Whoever they support, whoever they pick, if they come on the show, we're gonna talk to, or I'm gonna talk to them. I don't have a dog in the fight. So but Those are just 3 of the names that came to me on a text.
Mm-hmm.
So, if whoever Southern decided to pick as their football coach, if he had success as the basketball coach, then extend them.
And they get a lot of they meaning the administration. But if you look at the total amounts of the hiring with Coach Funches, he was on the previous staff, right, Charles?
Yeah.
They gave him a shot, and he's doing well. Johnson wasn't on the staff, previous staff. He has a lot of basketball pedigree. He's well known in the state of Louisiana. So they made that hire. Now they got some other hires that they made: volleyball, baseball. Crenshaw is still there. I think he has 1 year left on his contract this upcoming year. So football, yeah, they have to nail it. Of course they do, because that's the caboose. That's the engine. I'm sorry. That's the engine. So you got to get that right. But back to the contract extension, they did get 5 to 6 years. If you look at it, they just got it on the back end.
Yep.
Now, for this new coach, I think they're going to up the ante, in my opinion. No 2-year contract, of course. Previous coaches had 3 with an option of 1. So that's 4. My prediction is they're going to up it to 4, maybe 5. Can you believe that? 4 or 5 years. And expectations will still be high, but they'll be tempered.
But Carlos, I can believe that. I can believe they'll go 4 or 5. You know why? Because the coaches that are applying for this job, they have looked at the other coaches only got 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they only got 2 years to get it done. So with that kind of mentality, you better ask for a 4 or 5 year contract, or either you don't or either you don't accept it. So I can see why they would ask for a 4 or 5 year. Because if I was looking at the Southern job, that would be the only thing that I would ask for. Because I've seen what has happened to the last 2 coaches, that you only get 2 years to try to complete it.
Well, I
think that's something I talked about in the beginning, I believe.
I put an asterisk. I put a little dot there to saying that, yeah, they had 2 years, but it was something internal that happened that made the decision to be made because of something internal. And, they have some privacy acts and stuff, but ideally, you would wait till the end of the season. We kind of talked about that. You're seeing in college sports now. Some coaches, Michael Vick didn't wait till the end of the season, and they've only won 1 game. They did it mid-season. Whether you agree with it or not, that's a fact. But opinion is maybe they should have waited. North Carolina A&T is going to make some changes at the end of the season, as far as. Now, they have relatives disagreed or told me they should have waited till the end of the season. I understand that. But I'm just saying something happened internal for that not to happen. So, with that being said, it is what it is, Charles.
Yeah, I mean, it is. And, I agree that Southern has to get this one right. I do agree that a 4-year contract with a 5th-year option is probably the best bet. I remember, and I've shared the story before, the commissioner, Dr. McClellan, who's been an AD at Texas Southern and Prairie View, he says in his mind, and I think we've chimed in on it before, that as an administrator, he can tell whether a coach is successful after year 1 in his mind. But on paper, he's going to give his coach a 4-year deal, a 4-year contract, and we'll examine it after that. Unless something egregious happens, which you have to pull the plug earlier, I think he's going to give them the 4 years. So I think 4-year contract is about right, and I think for recruiting class, you can flip your roster with the transfer portal. I think 4 years, in my opinion, is the way to go in our conference. Now, you look at a school like LSU. I was there twice in the last 3 days, and the guy was telling me they got $115 million tied up in coaches' contracts, present and past, and they're just sick of it. That's just way too much money. But that's on a whole nother level. But our schools don't want to get. They're not going to get anywhere close to that level. But even if you add coaches' money tied up in firing coaches and that sort of thing, I think our folks would be a little upset about it.
And I always say, you know what you got by the end of year 2. You know what you got.
Right. Yeah.
Positively or negatively, you know what you got by year 2.
Yeah.
Yep. That's kind of the opinion going on. This may sound ugly, but cross town, I don't have time. I don't have time to worry about it because they can write a check. They can write a check just like that, and then it's over with. It's done. I understand that our school situation is totally different. SWAC football scores for last week, November 15th. Of course, Southern lost 35-30. Let me say this though: the good, the bad, and the ugly. They had more total yards than Texas Southern. Offensively, they were good. Bad, the defense. Once again, they were up by a touchdown at halftime, and then they just couldn't hold on. They couldn't hold on. So 35-30. Holly didn't play, but Barry Remo, you could put him up for honors of newcomer of the week. Local product, Catholic High School, had over 120 yards rushing. So the running back room, I think for the next coach, will be something he will be quite pleased with. Yeah. Alcorn State, hey, over Grambling State 27-16. I don't care if Grambling State didn't have players playing that game. We saw previous week what happened. That's on you. Alcorn State has been on a winning streak. And let me say this, I think Coach Thomas is safe because how they have ended. Even if they lose today, they did get up out of the mud and they overcome some adversity. Was it a championship, Western Division championship? No. But they were able to overcome adversity and got things done. Bethune-Cookman lost to Jackson State 28-13. Got a chance to watch that game. Bethune-Cookman were close for a while. But as I stated, Jackson State will pull away in the end, and they did. But a great effort by Bethune-Cookman. A great effort. Alabama A&M played hard. Dropped a 26-23 decision to FAMU. FAMU and Southern University have been the two most disappointing football programs this season. I still stand by that. Although they have a winning record in the division, it's all about overcoming adversity and getting ready. Pine Bluff dropped a 56-9 loss to Prairie View A&M. Congratulations, Prairie View did it. I didn't think they would do it, but they did it. And the team that they were supposed to spank, they spanked them well at the end of the season, 56 points. And then it was Alabama State, 41, Mississippi Valley State, 3. Alabama State was the better team. They proved it. Although I will say I've been seeing a lot of commitments for Mississippi Valley State. I know they got the side of the dotted line, but it seems like they're trying to push a little faster, a little bit better. But that was the games from last week. Panel, any surprises?
No, I didn't see any surprise. I just didn't know Prairie View would be as dominant as they were last week. Coach Jackson has gone in there and he's done a great job and punching their ticket to get to that SWAC championship game. So, his mantra was all roads lead to Atlanta, and all he needed to do was show him the way to get there.
Well, now, as you stated, getting the Western Division Championship, going to the SWAC Championship game in year 1. expectations will be high for year 2, and don't take that for granted, because you can go and drop quick. We've seen that in the conference. A team that won the Western Division last year, look how fast and hard did they drop. Never say never. Charles, I see you moved around.
Yeah, I had to move. I'm in one of their boxes because it's so loud out where I am. We're out in the open, so I appreciate the JSU club letting me use a little space here. It's a little more quiet. I barely could hear anything you said in the last 3 or 4 minutes because they pumped up the volume out here.
Yeah, it's got a big crowd. Do me a favor, tell the great one, Rob J. I'm still waiting on an answer back, a call back.
Okay, I will.
Tell Eric he's still a good grace with me. But Rob J, he's a Hall of Famer, so
Yeah. And now, Carlos, I don't know if you had this on your script, but you do know that the volleyball championship is going on this weekend. You had an upset yesterday. Prairie View went down. And then, of course, 4 versus 5. Was that 4 versus 5, Charles, or 5 versus 6? Alabama A&M won, and they advanced. But Prairie View, the number 1 seed, was sent home.
That's tournament action, right?
Yeah.
They could be regular season champs, right?
Yeah.
One would say they probably were the better team, but guess what? This is what happened in the tournament. Yeah. And so, hey, the tournament's there. You don't get it. I don't think they'll have an opportunity to extend their season in volleyball.
No.
See, that's the part that just sucks, but that's life. Because now in basketball, we're going to what, 10 teams this year?
No, all 12.
Everybody.
Oh boy.
All 12 though.
I was trying to hope it was still 10.
Yeah, and then Carlos, we've had a couple of non-conference wins. This week Bethune beat Ohio. Yep. And then now, Charles, with Mississippi Valley beating Lipscomb, is that an upset?
Good win. Good win.
It's a good win. Good win. Yeah, because they're what? They're in the South. They done moved around so much. I don't know what conference
Yeah, I would say so. I would say that if Vegas had that on the line, I think they would probably have Lipscomb by 5 or 6.
Right.
So Valley, I mean, Valley is obviously struggle. George Ivory gonna play that 2-3 zone.
No. They're women. They're women.
Oh,
they're
women.
women.
Oh, yes.
Women.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. I'm sorry.
The women.
Yeah. Considering what they went through during the off season with all the, whatever it is,
right?
Coach.
Yep.
All that. A win like that can go a long way. So yes, I think that is a big win for the Lady Devils. No doubt about it.
And you point out the non-conference wins. There've been some, but there've also been some lopsided ones. Oh my!
Oh, yeah.
Charles, I'll give you the Purple Heart. I listened to the broadcast, and not patting myself on the back, but I told you it was gonna happen just the way I saw, just the way I predicted. You play close for a while, then it's a blow. Although the men did better than the women, but I think there's a big disparity in the women. I mean, it's a wide gap. You have like Southern University, they got their first win, a lower school as far as classification, but the men, I told you last week, a couple of weeks ago, they scored 77 and 82 against 2 top 15 teams. Then they went to Washington, and Coach Pettaway, free throws cost them in double overtime. They lost to Washington.
Yep, I was looking at that, and then I'm gonna tell you, Bama State had another good win.
Yeah,
Bama State men had another good win in basketball.
Grambling beat USM.
Yep.
So we're getting them.
That Grambling too. I mean, I'm glad to see. I would love to see USM come to the Whitney Arena, but and they've been to Jackson before, but I'm glad to see Grambling get that win. You know, Coach Carey is a really, really good coach, and it's a shame that Florida A&M let him get away. I mean, I thought Florida A&M was set if they took care of Coach Carey, and I don't know the circumstances, but clearly I think Coach Carey is going to have Grambling playing really well.
Well, they let him go. Alabama A&M had a non-conference win.
Right. They beat Lindenwood. The men did, and then they also beat Charleston Southern. I watched Alabama State. And Air Force. You know, they had a bad break down the stretch in that game, and Alabama State ended up losing 66-64. But then they turned around and beat IU Indy the next day. So we're being competitive in some of the non-conference games on the men's side.
And a few on the women's side. And it goes back to what we talked about a lot. You know, you got to have that balance with those non-conference games. I know you're required to bring in so much money, but then balance it out with trying to get some good wins that will help you. Now, as a conference, we still have to do better individually. You're getting those wins, but it will be conference time pretty shortly. Southern University lost 80-66 to San Jose State last night, and then they're still on the West Coast tour. Both men and the women. The women got UCLA coming up, who took them out of the tournament last year. So, from the good standpoint, I guess it'll toughen you up for the conference games because you won't see that kind of competition like you're seeing in the non-conference games. So we hope everybody continues to support them. You know I said I'll be with a sign saying if you're 2-12, I'm not excited when it gets into conference play. But it seems like certain teams will have 3 or 4 victories under their belt.
Yep.
And I've kind of changed my tune, Carlos, a little bit on this whole dynamic and talking with some coaches and thinking about it. You know, we're probably going to be, in the play-in. And if you talk to some coaches, we would love to be, 11 or 12 seed, but that's not going to happen, most likely. Not enough wins. We're a 16 seed going up against another 16. Yes, on the backside of it, you're going to be playing one of the top 4 teams in the country. But they will go that route rather than playing the top team in the country, one of the top 2 or 3 teams right off the bat. And that's kind of where I think our coaches are settling in on it. I think privately some of them would like to be an 11 seed or 12 seed, but that's a whole conference issue that from top to bottom, our league has to be a little bit better. So I think our coaches are settling in. Well, we're 16 and we're going up against George Mason, another 16 versus 16. I think they're good with that, just based on some of the coaches I've talked to, just some of the attitude and feelings about it.
You got an opportunity to get a win in that first round, and you got an opportunity to get a share money wise.
Right.
So I mean, all that's a plus right there.
Yeah.
I'm still gonna say I want. And I'll probably be on my deathbed saying the same thing. I want a percentage of that money. Since I'm going out helping you, I want a percentage. Now, I'll leave it up to y'all what kind of percentage. I know what I want. I'll be on my deathbed. And they'll come close to you. What's your last word? I want a percentage of that money back into that basketball program. We talked about it before, baseball, but baseball is a sport that you can move a little bit outside, conference. Win your conference in tournament play, and then get into that regional. But basketball, they have the potential. Invest more into that basketball program.
Well, Carlos, if you were Mo Williams last year, and we talked about it, would you take the deal from your AD if he says you bring me $750, anything over that, you go get it, it's yours. So if you bring in $1 million worth of guarantees, you keep the other $250. It's all yours. It's all coming back into basketball. You got to bring me $750. if you were Mo Williams, would you take that deal?
Hell yeah, I'll be at a press conference. I'm a coach. I'm gonna say take that because I'm getting very little besides.
But when I interviewed him last year, he told me he wouldn't do it again though.
Oh, why?
Charles, he told me he would not. He said, Coach, if I had to do it all over, I would not do it. I would not do this again. He said it was too taxing on his kids. Yeah, too taxing on his kids.
Well, comes back to what we said. Have some balance with that non-conference.
Yeah.
Tell you what, they start demanding more. I'll tell them, well, I'll just leave and I'll resign if I can't get some help.
Right. He played Arkansas last night and lost 115-61. And your boy, and that's supposed to be his buddy. Well, not his buddy, but his confidant. But you get beat 115-61.
Oh, and Southern goes there before the end of the year. Illinois?
No, Arkansas.
Oh well, Southern played.
Yeah, that was Arkansas. He lost at Arkansas. Jackson State lost at Arkansas. Yeah.
And they played Auburn the other night.
Yeah. Yep.
Can we say Southern did a little bit better? But they scored 77 points on Arkansas.
Yeah.
And 82 against Marquette. And they have Illinois coming up, Northwestern. You know, when you play Northwestern State, they're going to be fundamentally sound. They're going to pass that ball around 10, 12 times, then backdoor screens. That's what they live on. So you still have some tough ones. And then when you come back this conference play, you start off with Prairie View and Texas Southern again.
Well, I tell you what, we were talking before we went on. Keep an eye on Reggie Theus and Bethune-Cookman.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
That is the team they loaded up on first team and second team, all conference, all SWAC. They've transferred there. And when I saw them, I'm looking at the stats. And if they stay healthy, that's going to be a beast of a team to deal with come conference. I think Reggie Theus finally has the team that he's been waiting for the last several years because they've been right on the cusp. But now I think they have the team to get them over the hump.
Well, I will say this. Just from looking at the early season, Coach Pettaway, see if you agree. Bethune-Cookman, Southern, and Alabama State.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I agree with that, Carlos.
Now,
I agree with that. But I'll tell you this. Now, I told the other guy, Will and Charles earlier, don't go to sleep on A&M now. A&M's men.
Mm-hmm. And Graham.
Dante got 10 people that he can put on the floor now.
Yeah. I think you made a big mistake in letting Coach Carey get away. I mean, I don't know all the circumstances behind it, but I thought they had a coach that was set up that could set them up for a pretty good run. Now, Charlie Ward, we'll see. But I thought Coach Carey had a really good bunch, a really good team, and I think he was building on that. Things didn't work out. It was a short window for Grambling to hire a coach. The circumstances behind Coach Carey getting that job, it was a very tight window for him to get that job, but Dr. Scott made it happen. And it was a really good hire, and I think Coach Carey has Grambling. They beat USM at Grambling. So I think that's something they can build on.
Well, he's a Southernite, Dr. Scott. And I like to see when you get those teams on your home court.
Yeah.
Could make a big difference.
Yeah. Yeah.
With that being said, gonna see if we could get Brian Fulford in. He's live in Orlando, the Florida Classic. So let's just do this. Charles, Coach Pettaway, if you got the schedule for this pulled up, we'll do our predictions. Because I had to make an adjustment. I'm not going to be able to look at what I'm saying because I'm doing the show here with the cell phone.
All right. So in the days action, you got Arkansas Pine Bluff and Alabama State.
Have they started already?
Yeah.
12 o'clock. They should. Yep, they should have at 12 o'clock. Yes.
Somebody trying to score in 7-3 UAPB in the first quarter.
Whoa. Wow. Bama State cannot afford to lose that game. I still got Bama State in that one, Carlos.
I do too.
Bama State.
What do you say, Charles?
Alabama State.
All right. Next up, Alabama A&M is out in Houston at Texas Southern, 2:00.
Texas Southern probably feeling so great. They came into Mumford Stadium, hard-fought victory. Alabama A&M and Texas Southern. Can I put a tie? No, that's not gonna happen. I'm only go with Texas Southern because they're at home. But I would not be surprised if Alabama A&M comes in there and take the victory.
All right. Go ahead, Wheeler.
A&M.
All right. Charles, how you see it?
Texas Southern.
All right. And then I'll close it out. Carlos, I'm going to go with A&M. I'm going to go with A&M. Next up, Mississippi Valley at Prairie View.
Ooh. You know, in years past, we've seen some upsets, right? Prairie View had a chance to go in the Western Division a couple of times and lost to Mississippi Valley State. This won't happen now, but it could be a slight letdown. But Jackson, the coach he is, I think he'll try to kill a gnat with a maul hammer. I got Prairie View winning.
All right. Wheeler?
Prairie View.
Charles?
I got Prairie View, but I think it'll be a little closer than people think.
Okay. Well, I got Prairie View also, especially after I heard Coach Jackson. He was asked by one of the alum if he was going to rest his players, and that he liked to snap on them. Rest them. He says, "I'm here to win." So yeah, he's going to play them. So I'm with Prairie View and Coach Jackson. All right. Next up, you got the Florida Classic, Bethune-Cookman FAMU in Orlando.
And you know, that'll be a perfect way to bring in Brian Fulford, because I think he's back.
Yep.
And whenever you can bring him in, you can. Predictions with that one. Bethune-Cookman can score defensively. They've been subpar.
When we walked in down on that.
You see the it's like
I'm gonna go.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna go with Bethune-Cookman in this one.
Okay. You going with Bethune. All right. Wheeler?
Bethune.
Charles, how do you see it?
Come on, Charles. It's not that hard.
Oh, yeah, it is hard. I think it is hard. Bethune-Cookman lost to Jackson or minus some players. I think this is a big game for Colby. I think he's got to win this one.
They're all big for Colby.
So
I'm going with Florida A&M. I think FAMU will continue their streak after losing to Jackson. They bounce back. I'm going with the Rattlers. It's going to be a good one.
All right, before we bring in Brian, I got Bethune-Cookman only because they've lost, and I think they're one of the better teams down the stretch. So I'm going with Bethune-Cookman in this game. And now, Brian, you up, Brian. Carlos.
All right. Sorry, guys. I didn't know I was coming on. Or at least at this point I was on. That's all right. How's everybody doing today?
All right.
Doing fine, Brian.
And what I heard people picking Bethune. Is that what I heard?
Go ahead, Carlos.
Bethune-Cookman.
Come on,
Brian, how you see it, man?
Well, so the biggest thing that I'm most intrigued by is that these two teams give up points, right? I mean, FAMU, we give up close to 30 or over 30. Bethune-Cookman, just as, you know, they as I like to say, they can't stop water out the faucet either. You know, and then for Bethune, I was just looking at the team stats. Statistically, in terms of yards allowed, worst in the conference. So you talk about two dynamics where Bethune may be averaging 28 points a game, but they're giving up 30, 33, and yardage-wise, they're giving up a lot of points. So there's going to be points on scored. So I think the biggest thing is you're watching for big plays and special teams. I think we've seen that Bethune-Cookman has the ability to make plays with their special teams. So it's going to be very important. The special teams unit for FAMU has been good all season up until last week. I mean, I don't know what happened at Alabama A&M, but it wasn't their best day from a couple different standpoints. So hopefully that doesn't rear its head here in Orlando. And then I'm trying to see, is Bethune, how many big plays? Like, Bethune wants to make big plays. We've seen them make big plays against Jackson State. We've seen them make big plays against Alabama State.
A&M too.
A&M too. So can we limit those dynamic big plays that turn into touchdowns? If we can do that, there's a possibility that we can take this game. I think offensively, we're going to be okay. I want to see can this defense finally show up for 4 complete quarters, not 2, not 1.5, not even 3. We're still trying to find a 4-quarter game from this defense. So very challenging today. So that's what we'll see. That's what we'll see. I mean, I don't have any doubts that we'll win this game. It's just by how many.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
I have the orange and green glasses on. I understand.
Oh, for sure. And the hat too. Yep.
Yeah. So, Brian, I give the slight edge to Bethune-Cookman. Well, not a slight edge. I give them the check mark offensively because they've been able to score points, as you stated. Defensively, no. It's about equal defensively. Special teams, miscellaneous things. It's a rivalry. Throw the records out. That was my reason for picking Bethune-Cookman from the offensive standpoint.
All right. And then now, Carlos, for your last game of the day, we'll see how Brian look at this one. Alcorn State at Jackson State. The Soul Bowl. You got that, Carlos?
Well, I'm excited to see the potential SWAC championship game. Alcorn State has been playing better. But I think if you ask me who's the better team, it's Jackson State. So I'm gonna go with Jackson State. I think it'll be a close game through 3 quarters. I think Jackson State will pull ahead in the 4th quarter. They are the better team, offensively, defensive, coaching, miscellaneous, all of that. I put the check mark by Jackson State.
All right, Wheeler.
Jackson State's been the most consistent team pretty much over the course of the season. I think that'll continue today. And naturally playing at home is going to be a big plus for them also. I give it to Jackson State by 2 touchdowns.
Okay. Now, Charles, since you're doing the game, I'm going to go to Brian. Brian, how you see this game today?
Hold on. Let me find my Braves hat. Oh, I don't have my Braves hat. I am an Atlanta Braves fan. So, I mean, I guess I just have to naturally root for the Braves in this situation. Only because I'm an Atlanta Braves fan, right? Not because I don't like Jackson State. I don't want anybody out there that don't think that, because I don't need my inbox and my Twitter handles messages being blown up, even though they will. But hey, Alcorn State, hottest team in the SWAC right now. This is the Alcorn State team that we thought we would see at the beginning of the year. This is a dangerous team for Jackson State. I really believe. And I said this earlier today. What would really surprise me in this game is if Jackson State blows Alcorn out. Like, I'm talking 2 touchdowns plus. That would shock me because what it means is, A, that all phases of Jackson State's game is clicking. And we know they're capable. Like, we saw what they did last week with the run game. We know how dynamic the defense can be. We know they got talent in all the skill positions. But that young quarterback, that means he handled the pressure that the Braves are going to bring at him today. And that's going to be very scary for Prairie View if Jackson State blows out Alcorn, now this game could come down to a field goal, one possession game, which is natural. But again, what would surprise me is a blowout. So while I'll be watching very interestingly and intently, and I'll be doing this because I'm an Atlanta Braves fan, but I'll go out on a limb. Braves by a field goal.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Wow.
Wait a minute. A Braves by a field goal. As I was listening to Brian, the X factor should be X factor, but Jackson State defense is nasty.
Yep.
And I give them a big advantage at that point. I've seen them in person. You hang for a while. Offensive, you get a little things. But, boy, when they come out of halftime, you talking about making adjustments. I think they make adjustments for halftime.
Yeah.
But that defense, I'll give them 2 checks. Because I think that's going to be the difference. And then a special team play here or there. Now, if Alcorn can get a couple special team plays and success, then they'll stick close for a while. But when they take the motion out of everything, comes down to the X and O's, Jackson State.
Right. Now, Carlos, I'm going to go with you for that reason. I believe Jackson State is going to win this game because of their defense. Now, Charles, Alcorn wins this game today because of what?
Because, number one, our defense continues to do their good work. And number two, Jalen Tolbert, our quarterback, is going to be a difference maker in extending plays. That's one of the reasons why we got off to such a slow start. I mean, the Northwestern State loss was inexcusable. There's no doubt about that. But Jalen Tolbert on the team.
They shut the Wi-Fi down there. Yeah, Charles, they send you. They told you, Brian. They getting you, boy.
It's a who's who. It's a BCSN who's who in the house back here.
Yep. So now, Carlos, that's it. That's today's schedule. You got it, Carlos. That's today's schedule.
Yeah, I'm seeing my cohorts.
I want to ask Brian about Florida A&M. Is this a must-win for James Colsey? You got the Classic. You had 3 big home games where you could have had the East. You had the East in your hands when Jackson State came to town after they lost to Vegas. Is this, I'm not advocating for any coach to get fired, but is this a must for Colsey, you think?
Honestly, no. Because I think with the new administration coming in, they recognize that the new administration, there's familiarity. I don't feel like, look, it's a must win because this is a rival, right? And it's a must win because we need to be 500. We need to keep the winning streak going. I don't think it's in my opinion, I don't feel it's a job determining must win, not given what we've done over the last 4 to 5 weeks. If it were a different kind of situation, maybe, but I don't have any doubts that we're going to come to play and that we're going to look competent and we're going to play well. This is not Alabama State we're playing. This is not Jackson State we're playing. It's not North Carolina Central we're playing. So to me, that means we're going to be in this ball game. The question is, how are we going to perform? So, well, all that said, I don't think it's a quote-unquote must win for the coach. It's a must win for the team and the program to let the Rattler Nation know that we're going to be all right. Be patient with us. I know there's been a lot of stress and troubles, and we made people lose sleep, and maybe even people have, they're not going to games like this. But I think, in my opinion, this win gets people more energized than if we lose this game going into the offseason. I mean, people are still going to complain in the offseason, right? And say what we are, what we should be, et cetera, standard being the standard and all that stuff. But a win, and we feel a little bit better going into the offseason. Well, we still got to beat Valley, so I'm not discounting that. But, going into the Valley game, it's a good feeling saying that, hey, let's finish 7-5, 6-2, blah, blah, blah.
Right. All right, now, Carlos, I don't know if you can see, but you got 5 minutes left. Go ahead.
Yeah, 5 minutes left. It's going to be an interesting Classic weekend, Florida Classic, Soul Bowl. Then next week, the granddaddy of them all, the Bayou Classic. That will be interesting. Can Southern go out the 2025 season on a winning note? We shall see. As we get ready, I guess, Brian, we get ready to wrap it up. I got about 6 or 7 minutes. I know we started late. But I just kind of want to talk again back with all the things that are going on in our conference. You're seeing across the college landscape, coaches are being let go. They've got to make decisions. Southern situation is no different. They're going to go on another journey. They're going to have to pick the next football coach. I'm gonna get your comments on that, Brian. But Southern is down to the final 5. It's some interesting.
Is Falk one of the 5?
Yes, and that's why
you don't sound excited.
Huh?
So you don't sound excited.
Well, that's not my first choice, but as I said, I will support the choice. And this Southern football program will have to retool. They really have to. And this is a crucial pick. But seems like we said that before. But this one really is. How do you want this program to go? Where do you see it in 5, 6 years? And so if Marshall Faulk is chosen, I will support the hire. That's the only thing I can say. And as the alum and a supporter. But
let me ask this. Hey, let me ask you this, Carlos. Will Southern fans be? I mean, look, you have 2 dichotomies with the new coaches, right? Look at what Michael Vick is going through, right? Mm-hmm. Lots of attendance, lots of people interested, but the team is 1-9, 1-10. On the other side, you got Deshaun Jackson comes in, Firestorm. He's playing for a MEAC title right now. Will the Southern fan base be okay in both scenarios? Because as you just said, what needs to happen at Southern is a retool. Are y'all going to give Marshall Faulk an opportunity to rebuild, or are y'all expecting him to come in and be a dynamo right in year 1?
Well, I have to answer this from my perspective. I can't speak for the alums, but I do talk to a lot of them. I think you're going to have a segment that doesn't want the celebrity coach or that type of coach, but then you have some that says, yeah, we want to win now. We will accept it. So to answer your question, I think they will accept it. You can't keep everybody happy. You know, you can't. You go nuts trying to keep everybody happy. But the majority of them, they will accept it.
Yep.
All right.
All righty.
Anything else? Any other questions?
No.
I got people trying to get me to name the 5 finalists. Nope, not gonna do that. Not gonna do that. And again, I'm not gonna endorse any candidate. That's just not the right thing to do.
Yeah. And before we leave, Carlos,
Uh-huh.
Brian said something about FAMU fans that I think needs to translate over to the Jaguar Nation. He said that they need to be patient.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Jaguar Nation need to be patient with the next coach,
Mm-hmm.
and that's it. I'm out. That's all I needed to say. Just be patient. Give the man an opportunity.
Patience. You don't have to put your expectations down to 0 when it normally was a 10 plus. You just got to pull it down a little bit and rebuild this program. And it's going to take everybody. There's some internal issues that need to be addressed and addressed ASAP.
Right.
Some things you can do right now. So I pledge to bring on some of those people, at least I'm going to offer them, from the back campus, also on committees, and after the decision was made, explain what was your rationale for making that decision. And I think that's fair.
Right.
I think that's fair.
All right.
That note,
talk about it. Yep, go ahead.
On that note, I guess we got to get out of here.
Yep.
I apologize from my end for technical issues, but hey, I got on making adjustments. Until next Saturday at 11 a.m. for another edition of the Coles Brown Show right here on the Black College Sports Network. Peace and God bless.